a couple years, but this is an exciting thing of what we're doing today. I'm gonna talk about a couple things about this young man over here. And Jamal went to California. We went to school together at South Shore. 7th grade, he moved down to California with his grandmother and his father. He was probably about 5'9", 5'10". He came back going into our senior year at high school, Renton Beach, in 1998. Came back about 6'5", 6'6", and debating on what school he was going to go to. And I pretty much begged him, hey man, come over to Renton Beach and help me out. We're trying to get something done over there. And it happened. With the legendary coach Mike Bethea, came over, and in 1998 we had a 27-2 record and won a state championship. And the different things that people don't know about Jamal is you guys see where he's at right now in life, but it hasn't always been like that. He was raised here up here with his mom Venora and his grandmother Hot Shot, rest in peace, where they did everything to take care of him, as well as his sister Lori, but there were struggles. Money wasn't always right. So he had got a job working down at the Kingdom, and what you don't know is that at 12 and 3 o'clock in the morning, he was working, and he still had to go to school the next morning just to make sure that he had lunch money. And some things may sound comical of what I'm gonna share with, but it's real that what we go through in order for our making of what we are today. Jamal sometimes used to wear, because he's a plain person, a belt, and not a belt, but a shoestring as a belt. And it may sound comical, but it wasn't always like he had everything. He's been one of my best friends since 1998. He's a great guy. He's a father. He had a son in high school, but guess what? He took care of his son. He assumed the responsibilities as a young man. And that goes a long ways, because everybody can't always say that. We used to ride in the white Cutlass. Didn't have any license tabs, so we used to be in the back streets of Seward Park. It was me, Jamal, Will Conroy, and sometimes little Ant was real little back then, going to play at the University of Washington with the college players. But Jamal was determined. He had something in him that was pretty much different than a lot of people. He had a drive to know that he was gonna make it. And that's what a lot of people don't know, though. It wasn't something that was just given to him. This guy has worked hard to be in this position, and you can clap for that right there. He's worked extremely hard to be put in this position. And I'm just thankful that I'm allowed to be a part, and we still have a great friendship even right now, even after the NBA contracts, because it should always be the same. Never change with the people that you know that was there for you before you had anything, right? And that's the way that you have to go, because you'll be successful, and that's why he's bearing the fruits of his labor. Another little story I'm gonna share with you guys before I introduce this great man today is just, I look at it in a lot of ways, and his skill on the basketball court was phenomenal. I think he was kind of like before his time in high school, but he was one of the most humblest kids, and everybody told him how good he was, but he stayed focused and made just everybody better all the way around. And I present to some and introduce to others, Jamal Crawford. Come on, you can stand and give him a hand. Come on, we can do better than that. Woo-woo!
First off, thank all you guys for coming out here. Everybody out here in this crowd has had an impact on my life in some way, shape, or form. So if I don't get a chance to mention everybody's name, just know that all you guys have played a part in molding me to who I am today. It's weird, I remember coming back here when I was 16 years old, and my nephew used to always come over here and ride his bike over. And I'd be like, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to Liberty Park. I'm going to Liberty Park. So then I started going to Liberty Park. And I still follow him to this day. He's at LA Fitness in Renton, I'm at LA Fitness in Renton. That's just how it is. And I remember always watching him go over there. He was determined to play with the big guys. And I started coming over here playing. And playing here really helped mold my dreams. I was like, I want to go play at Liberty Park, and I want to be in the NBA one day. I want to be in the NBA one day. I want to be in the NBA. I want to make an impact on people's lives. And coming here to see that this is full circle, that going from playing at Liberty Park to now this being Jamal Crawford Court is a surreal feeling. I'm trying to take it all in, but it's hard to really describe. But like I said, all you guys here have played a part in molding me who I am today. And as good as I want to be on the basketball court, I want to be a better person off of it in my community, in the community of Renton.
Yes, sir.
So, for me, it's not just me. Like you guys see me up here, it's going to be Jamal Crawford court, but it's really all our courts. It's the courts for the community. And I see Bo back there. This was kind of Bo's idea. He's like, you need your own court. You went to Liberty and you're a kid, you need to have that as your court. So Bo, I see you back there. He's been with me since I was 16. He's here with me today. And he took it to Dave Walker. Dave Walker took it to Zan and Mira Law, and we were able to make it happen. But like I said, it's not just us, it's everybody here. We all play a part in this. And this is all of our courts. And I hope that one day we can continue to do this in other places as well, all over Seattle, so we can just continue to have a positive impact on the city. But like I said, it's not possible without you guys. I'm not going to talk too much, but thank everybody for coming in.
All right, well.
Now, there are few relationships more powerful than that of a coach and player. Mike Bethea has been coaching at Rainier Beach High School for 19 years, 17 as the head coach, and his teams have won 4 3A state championships. One of those championships was won by a team led by Jamal Crawford. Please help me welcome Coach Mike Bethea. Coach Mike. Ain't smooth, ain't he?
See you, Coach.
He done went to Miami on us.
Oh no, just Seattle. What can I say about Jamal? The Bible says, those who look to exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Well, I can't think of a more humble young man than Jamal. I look back at the times when he was coming up playing for me. We sit at my house, and all he talked about was, when he made it, was giving back to others. Never about, you know, what he was going to do for himself, or, you know, flaunt things like that. It was always about giving to others. And, you know, it was, he started down at Rainier Beach. I mean, he came in, he said, Coach, when I make it, we're going to redo Rainier Beach's floor, okay? We're not going to slip and slide like we've been doing all the time I was there. We're going to make sure we have a great facility down there. And he came through and he did it. And he's been doing it from East Coast to the West Coast. Everywhere he goes, he leaves his imprint and his impact on those cities. I know I'm sitting here looking at the mayor right now, and I know he's sitting here saying, well, I just hope he hurries up and the NBA settles that strike so he can get back to work, because if not, my job may be in jeopardy. But, you know, Jamal, I mean, he's the type of kid, when he first came, he was an innovator. I mean, he was the first kid, and I've been around Seattle basketball when the Super Dogs were there, in '74, all the great Cleveland teams, and all the players, you know, the Clint Richardson and everything. But Jamal was unique. I mean, he brought that East Coast swag, they call it. He brought it to the city of Seattle. The things he used to do in the basketball games was just unheard of and unreal. He'd sit there, we'd sit at my house late at night, say, oh yeah, Coach, I'm gonna make it. And you know, I've coached over 300-400 players, and you know, a lot of them say, hey Coach, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it. And you know, you don't wanna kill their dream, but with Jamal, you just knew it was gonna happen. Whatever he says, he's gonna make happen. He makes happen. And you could just tell it, just by the way he led his team. You know, Dave touched on the fact that how Jamal made his teammates better. He just didn't make them better. He made the game easy for them. Made the game easy for me as a coach. It's great being able to coach guys like Jamal, because you don't have to coach as hard on the court. You know, we had our run-ins. I mean, there's plenty of times I remember we had him. We're at practice, and I didn't kick him out of practice. He's out running around the track to get back on the team. A lot of people don't realize that. I mean, but it was just so special. Things happened between teammates. I mean, who was right there? Him and Dave. I mean, making sure everything was right. I mean, and I just can't say enough about Jamal. Our relationship has been great. Remains great. I mean, we bounce things off of each other. A lot of people might think that, you know, I know Jamal will always say stuff like, well, you know, I'll call Coach Mike for advice. I call Jamal for a lot of advice. I mean, you know, we just really work off of each other. He's a great young man. you know, and you really can't say enough about him. But has such a giving heart, and I think that's what sticks out more than anything about Jamal. I mean, you can talk about how well he does on the court, and all the other things, but the fact that he has such a giving heart is the thing that's so special about him. And I'm just proud that I've been a part of his life. Proud that you know, he was allowed me into his life. I look at his family, his mom. I mean, she's like my sister. You know, I'm just gonna say a little bit about her. I mean, when you're coaching, you want those type of parents who are so supportive and don't make it a nightmare for you. And Benoit was that. I mean, she was one of the greatest parents I've ever had. She was like my sister. And I mean, all of that just made it so great. Clyde, same thing. I mean, they were so supportive. It was never about coming and talking to me about, oh, you should be doing this with Jamal or that with Jamal. No, they were just supportive. And I mean, and that just speaks volumes about Jamal and how he is, because his parents are the same way. So I just want to end by just saying, I want to thank, you know, just the city of Renton for welcoming Jamal. I mean, he's just like my son. I mean, like I said, the relationship is just so special. And the next young lady and I'm going to give her a lot of credit because she's coming up to talk next. Next young lady I want coming up, I give her a lot of credit. A lot of people don't realize this, but I give her a lot of credit because when Jamal was making his decision to come to Rainier Beach, it was her who basically, I think, influenced him to come over there and play for me. And I don't think any of this here would have taken place if she would have been the driving force behind Jamal, sending him over to Rainier Beach, and that's his sister Lori. Love her to death.
Love her to death.
Let's go, man. No tears. Cut that out. No tears. Yeah, well, she cried at rehearsal.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know you guys hear some of my family in the audience saying, "Don't cry." When it comes to someone who means a lot to me, that's what I tend to do. But
there she goes already.
the mayor has given me a lot of time, not a lot, a amount of time, and my speech is right to that point. So, wow, wow, wow. As I look out today at all of you here, my heart is doing somersaults. And it is so touched, along with my family. Thank all of you for coming out to celebrate with us today, this outstanding young man. My 12th birthday present and favorite little big brother, Jamal Crawford. I have to be honest with you. When I first was told of this celebration today, I was asked to speak about Jamal's life before the NBA. I thought I kind of just want to sit back and take in the moment and hear what everyone else has to say. Then I begin to think, well, now wait, life before the NBA? Who else could remember more than me about his life from 3 years to 18 years old? So with that thought and question in mind, here I stand to tell you about Aaron Jamal Crawford's life before the NBA. As we know, time will not permit me to talk about everything, so I'll just make mention of what I like to recall as I'll never forget moments. It all started on a 9-foot hoop in our backyard on 30th and Graham. Jamal was 3 years old, and he's carried that basketball since the age of 3. I would tell him, leave that basketball at home, and he could come hang out with me and my friends and their little brothers. Boy, we would go back and forth. I would tell him why he shouldn't bring the ball, and he would tell me why he needs to bring the ball. Needless to say, he always won those debates. So by the age of 5 years old, we were all pretty much made understood that he will bring his ball wherever he goes. I will never forget taking him to my high school, Cleveland. At 3 years old, he would shoot with the juniors and seniors in my gym class. And at 3, he would shoot and shoot and shoot and make and make and make. And the late coach of Cleveland, Mr. Calvin Johnson, and the high school guys would shake their heads in amazement and say things like, wow, mark my word, he's gonna be something special with that ball. He's gonna be somebody. He's gonna be famous. He's gonna make your family proud and rich. We would have never imagined how true all those words were until 16 years later. Incredible. As a teenager, Jamal still carried a basketball with him everywhere. And many a days while living on Beacon Hill, he could often be sighted with the ball in one hand and a box of basketball trading cards in the other. And you'd find him at the local playgrounds or card shops. His collection included all the basketball greats, but the majority were of his favorite players: Gary Payton, Allen Iverson, Sean Kemp, Magic, Slick Watts, Larry Bird, and Jordan, just to name some. His early teen years transitioned him for a moment, landing him in LA with his dad and grandmother. That was very short-lived. Jamal would just shoot in their backyard. And I remember I have a picture still of him getting off the airplane, and in one hand, he had a box of cards, and in the other was a basketball. That was his one personal item and his one carry-on back then. I'll never forget the night he asked me to come watch his game at late night at Renton Playfield Gym with James Hampton coaching him. I can't explain how fascinating it was to watch those long-range three-pointers drop as if he was throwing rocks into a lake, and watching those jaw-dropping crossovers that to this day have us shaking our head in "Did you see that fashion?" I'll never forget all the great moments of his high school career that packed all the high school gyms and drew out NBA players and college coaches to come witness his games. It would be an injustice if I closed without mentioning Liberty Park, where we all are today. Jamal spent many of days and nights right here on the court. While other teens were out partying, hanging out, working, and doing other things to occupy their times that teens do, Jamal would be right here shooting, just like he did when he was 3. He would ask me to drop him off at 6 p.m. and say, "Okay, be back at 9 or 10. I would arrive only to sit and wait another hour because he wasn't ready or another group of guys showed up and wanted him to play on their team. As I bring this speech to a tender close, I must say, everybody say don't cry, Lori. As I bring this to a tender close, the same person that you see standing here today is the same person that he has been all his life. And for that reason, I cannot think of a more deserving individual, and I'm not saying it because he's my brother. I was driving in my car a few days ago thinking about today and his life from childhood to now, and I said to myself, wow, he's the kind of young man that if I had a son, I would want my son to be just like him, or have someone to look up to just like him as a role model. So, someone that would have any of his character, just it would rub off. Then I quickly laughed out loud and said to myself, wait, I do have a son, and he is the same kind of young man Jamal is, because he has been by Jamal's side for the last 26 years. Jamal is one of the best role models ever placed on this earth for young people. And I would say that even if he wasn't my brother. Jamal is the kind of guy any parent would love to say, that's my son. Ask Lenore or Clyde. Ask Eric and Jayan, and they will tell you he's the greatest dad. Carletta and Johnny would tell you he's the greatest nephew. And Anthony and Desi would tell you they don't make any uncles better than theirs. And needless to say, he is the best brother anyone could have. Lisa, Marcus, and I are witnesses to that, and we wouldn't trade him for anyone. So with your help, JC friends, family, fans, and well-wishers, if I could get all of you to help me end by saying on the count of 3, thank you, Jamal, for all you do in our community. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Jamal, for all you do in our community.
Way to get us all emotional, Lori. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, well done, well done. All right, this is the family portion of the show, so next up speaking, I would like to have Clyde Crawford, Jamal's dad.
So, Clyde. Jan, where are you going, man?
So I thank God for another day. It's going to be relatively quick perspective. 2 great people come to mind whose initials are JC, Jesus Christ and Jamal Crawford.
What's up, Cole?
Your charming grace. They truly was who was meant to be. Against all odds. Who would have thought he'd come this far? A special kind of person, available too. He always gives back because he's a class act. He put Seattle on the map, and how about that? They call him DC. He is meant to be. He is God sent from heavens above. Today, so acknowledge you.
Clyde, hey, Clyde,